Did you press the red button? Okay. Hi, I'm Angela with StitchTastic.com, and I am making a video because I wanted to show you. Recently I started knitting the Valois Shawl. That is in the 2013 accessories edition of KnitScene. The Valois Shawl is a really pretty shawl that is knit in fingering weight yarn, and it was designed by Alexandra Beck. See the really pretty eye candy, and I just love how the yarn works with the shawl and how the shawl drapes when it's done. So last night I made up a swatch to practice the knitting stitch, to practice the pattern stitches, and I also wanted to practice the edging because I knew it would be a little bit tricky. So it took me a couple of tries to get the edging to what I believe the designer intended, and I wanted to show you how I did it, and I hope that what I show you, it will help you complete this shawl as well. So anyway, the shawl is actually begun with a provisional cast on, and then after the provisional cast on, it is knit with increases until you get to your first starting pattern. I didn't start with provisional cast on because I simply did, put it here so you can see it better. I wanted to practice the lace pattern, so I just did it 2 pattern repeats wide, and then I cast on, which was 12 stitches in each pattern repeat. So I did 24 stitches plus 6 edging stitches. And then I did the pattern is 24 rows tall, so I repeated that twice. And then I added the edging on here. So it's knit, this will actually be a top-down shawl. So when you're knitting it, this is actually going to be the top, and the edging will be at the bottom. And then the edging is actually knit with the wrong side. But it's a little tricky because how I did it is I knit it from the wrong side, but I knit it on starting from the left edge going to the right. So as if you were looking at it from the front, from the right side, it would be going from the right edge to the left, but only on the wrong side. When you get to the point of where you need edging, I honestly recommend putting in a lifeline. That way it will basically save your work if you accidentally drop a stitch when putting the edging on. So what I did to show you how I did the edging is I actually knit on. I actually did a smaller swatch, but I did it with a larger yarn and larger needles in hope that you can see it better. So I did 1 pattern repeat tall, so 24 stitches. And I'm just going to stop here, and then I'm going to add the edging. Now when you add the edging, you're actually going to be at this point where you finished your pattern repeat and you've knit your last row, and in the pattern it actually is going to be a repeat of row 12. And then you're actually going to break off your yarn, and then you're going to start your edging with a new cast on edge, which I'm actually going to grab my scissors. Forgot to pull them out. So snip off the yarn, and then you're going to cast on for the edging with your smaller size needles. Now, when I did my edging, from the wrong side, you'll see the edging is actually knit back and forth in rows. And then you will be adding the edging to the body by knitting the edging stitch together with one of the body stitches. And I actually treated this as I was knitting one very long short row. And I did this because it's very easy when you are switching to smaller needles to if you leave your knitting on this edge, if you leave your knitting on this needle, and then when you switch to smaller size needles, you're knitting with 2 more needles, it's actually easy to drop the stitches off of this needle. So what I did to circumvent that is I put in a lifeline. So we're going to pretend to put in a lifeline. And then I took in my smaller size needles a circular needle. So we're going to pretend we are finished with our shawl. And we're going to actually transfer all of these stitches from the body onto the smaller size needle. Don't know if you can see that. Okay. So we're now done with the larger size needle. We have the smaller size needle. Okay. You're going to slide it through to where it's on your right needle, just like you were going to, just like you had finished with this needle. Then with the free needle of your circular, you're going to cast on,
Mom,
which on this pattern is 7 stitches for the edging. So you're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have my edge, and then I have my new stitches for my edging. Now the stitches for the edging are actually joined on the wrong side. The first row, edging row in this pattern is actually considered the wrong size row, and you're going to start by knitting 2 stitches together, which means you're knitting 1 edging stitch and 1 body stitch together. And how I did this, so I actually turned it to the wrong side, to the right side. This is your right side. This is going to be your wrong side. And remember, you're going to be working your edging back and forth. So it's going to look like your edging is going to go from when it's the wrong side is facing you, you're going to go from your left edge to your right edge. When the right side is facing you, the edging is going to grow from the right edge to the left edge. Okay, I know it's a little confusing, but hopefully after I show you, this will help. So what I do is I actually slip 1 stitch from the body off onto the needle with the new stitches. So now I have 8 stitches. And then pick up my yarn. And then you're going to knit the edging stitch. You're going to knit the edging stitch together with the body stitch. Okay, so that is one stitch, and then the pattern says on the wrong side to knit across to the edge, so you're just going to keep knitting across. So essentially, right now, the wrong side of both the body and the wrong side of the edging are facing you. And it's going, the first edging is going to look like this. And then you're going to turn it. This is going to be row 2 of the edging, which is going to be the right side. And in this pattern, row 2 is you knit back across. Okay, so I have done the 7 stitches. So to actually prepare for knitting the 2 together on the next row, I'm actually going to go ahead and pick up that next stitch. My yarn is in back. I'm going to go ahead and bring it through to the front, so I'm actually wrapping that stitch. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches. I'm wrapping that one last stitch, and then I'm turning to the wrong side again. And again, the third row, start by knitting 2 together. And then knit the rest of the stitches. Alright, so that was 7 stitches. Row 4, you're going to turn it again. Again, this is the right side. And so it's going to look like you're going to have the body of your shawl with these extra stitches hanging out. So it's going to kind of look a little odd for a while until you actually start going down the body and adding the stitches. Okay, so this is row 4, which is knit across. Okay, here's stitch 6, stitch 7. Again, I'm going to pick up the next stitch on the needle as if to purl. This is the next stitch in the body. Pick it up as if I'm purling. Bring the yarn to the front between the needles to wrap that stitch and turn. This is going to be row 5. Knit those 2 together, if my needles will cooperate. Knit those 2 together and knit across. So hopefully this is starting to make a little sense. I treat it as if I'm working I keep working short rows back and forth, and each time I work back, I add one more stitch according to the stitch pattern. So this is we just finished row 5. I'm going to start row 6. Okay, now row 6 actually starts to get a little tricky, because in this edging pattern, don't know if you can see, in this edging pattern, the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the first 5 rows are actually incorporating the first 3 body stitches. And then row 6, you're going to start from the edge and you're actually going to make increases. And then on row 8, you're going to decrease. So I'm going to show you how to do this, because you're going to repeat row 6, 7, 8, and 9 throughout the body until you get to your last 2 stitches on the body. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And this is actually going to go fairly easy. If you need to rewind or slow it down, feel free to do that. But my goal is to help you get through this edging. So we're knitting the first 2 stitches, and then we're going to do, the pattern calls for a double yarn over. So yarn over twice and then knit 2 together. And then the pattern calls for a yarn over twice and then knit 2 together. Then you're going to knit the last edging stitch. So I knit the last edging stitch. So I'm going to take the next stitch on the body, pick it up as if I'm going to purl, wrap it, and turn. So we're back to where we're on the wrong side of the body, back to the wrong side of the edging stitch. And this is going to be row 7 of the edging. Knit 2 together. And then the pattern has 1 more knit. Now we are here to the double yarn over. Now if we just did a knit into it, that just makes 1 long loop, and that's not what the designer wants. So the pattern actually calls for, we're going to first purl into the yarn over, drop that first loop, and you still have 1 more yarn over on. Then you go in and knit into that yarn over. So you're actually purling and then knitting into that yarn over. And then you're going to knit 1 more, and then we have the second double yarn over. And in this one, we're going to knit into the yarn over, and then we're going to purl into the yarn over. So you have knit and purled into that double yarn over. And then you're going to knit 2. Okay, that is row 7. Row 8 is going to be the decrease row. We're going to actually bind off the 2 stitches. There's knit 1, 1, bind off, 2, bind off. That's actually knitting 3 stitches. Knit 1 more. You're going to, the pattern calls for a knit 2 together. And then we're going to do another double yarn over. We're going to knit 2 together. And then this is the last edging stitch. Again, pick up. This is the edging. You're going to pick up that next stitch for the body. Bring the yarn forward between the needles to wrap it. And turn. Okay, and then row 9. Will be a knit 2 together to knit the edging to the body, knit 1, the pattern calls for a purl, And then back into that double yarn over, you're going to knit, then knit 2 more, and then purl. Okay. And as you can see, that's actually starting to take up the body stitches in the edging. I don't know if you can see that or not. So you have your 7 edging stitches, and this was row 9. So since we just did row 9, we're actually going to repeat and start again with row 6. And you're going to repeat row 6 through row 9 until you get to the last 2 stitches on the body, and then you're going to work rows 10, 11, 12, and 13. And again, I do it by treating it as one long short row, and I just keep adding 1 more stitch from the body each time I come back on my even rows, and then I knit those 2 stitches together, the edging stitch and the body stitch together at the beginning of the even rows of the edging. So hopefully this helps you out. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at that'sstitchtastic@gmail.com. Again, this is Angela, and I really appreciate you tuning in, and I appreciate my wonderful little sister for holding the camera. And you all have a wonderful StitchTastic day. Bye-bye.